Hello, Kindred Longevity Lifestyle Designers. This is Zach here with secretsoflongevity.com. The reason I seem so happy is I'm about to talk to you about one of my favorite all-time adaptogenic tonic herbs, and it's Cordyceps. The specific name for that is Cordyceps Sinensis, and it's a mushroom, which in Chinese is known as Dongchong Jia Kao, which explodes out of the heads of worms and caterpillars and other insects, and it's collected on, specifically in China, off the mountainside of certain areas. So it's actually very rare, and because of that it's very expensive. But due to modern technology and advances in growing technology, it's actually able to be grown in laboratory settings on a plant-based medium, which means that it is vegetarian, or even we could call it vegan friendly. So there's no worms harmed in the processing and creation of laboratory-made Cordyceps extracts. And this is good news, because actually the laboratory-grown ones have been shown or evidenced to be more potent in their immunomodulating qualities. But this isn't to say they're better than the wild harvested Cordyceps, because as we know, wild foods have many other properties going on with them, some of which can't be totally replicated in a synthetic laboratory environment. But we are talking in a massive difference in price because Cordyceps is so rare and so highly prized, much like ginseng. If you were to compare wild Cordyceps, or about 40 grams of them, to 40 grams of laboratory-grown Cordyceps before the extraction process, so equal weight, there's going to be a $4,500 roughly difference between the two. So the laboratory-grown Cordyceps are definitely worthwhile in terms of daily consumption if you're wanting to explore this amazing herb. And once in a while, perhaps if that's something you're really drawn to, you might sample the wild Cordyceps, or if you're an emperor of China, you might consume it daily as a sex tonic, as they originally did. So specifically, the sexual potentiating properties of Cordyceps are quite incredible, and that's basically because it's a yin and yang jing tonic. So those of you who are familiar with the term jing and tonic, you're going to understand that that's the core foundational essence of the body, and there's sort of a yin, or more passive, and a more active side of it. So that's the yin and the yang, and we want to build them both up. So that's amazing quality of Cordyceps. It's very balanced in that way. It's not going to make you too tired if you're doing too much yin jing building, and whereas some people focus too much on yang jing tonics like eucommia bark, deer antler, sustanche, and all these other very strong yang jing tonics, can be a bit too stimulating if you're not correspondingly building up the yin jing. One of the most remarkable qualities of Cordyceps, and this makes it fantastic for all athletes or anyone doing a lot of physical vigorous movement, whether you're specifically if you're outdoors in areas where there's thinner air, or sort of less oxygen in the air. So if you're hiking mountains, climbing mountains, skydiving, and Cordyceps enhances the oxygen absorption by the red blood cells through the lungs. And it's very interesting to note that Cordyceps, at least the ones with the most medicinal properties, grow at the highest altitudes. So in Tibet, it was noticed by the herdsmen that when their goats and yaks would consume patches of grass that had these caterpillars in them, that had these fungus growing out of their heads, they became very sexual, virile, and had amazing endurance. And that's how the herb was first discovered. Now, the traditional properties from the Chinese and Tibetan medicine perspective is that it is sweet, warm, and acrid or bitter. And then I mentioned it was a yin and yang jing tonic, but it's also a lung yin tonic. And that lung yin tonic description is what connects it to enhancing endurance through the increase of absorption of oxygen from the air. Now, the other aspect of the endurance enhancing properties is that it actually increases the cell's ability to create ATP. Adenosine triphosphate is the very core energy that all our cells produce to help our body run, and if you can enhance that, you're basically upping the whole energy vitality of the body. And this is just blatantly obvious to me that this is something that's very beneficial. There's really no known negative side effects with Cordyceps. Except if you check the link below, I've got an article I've written on Cordyceps, and I list some minor precautions about external caused diseases. That is the definition for Chinese medicine. That would be a time to avoid it. Just from the Chinese perspective, it's optimal in terms of recovering from a disease to let go of the use of tonic herbs and use more medicinal, sort of harder hitting herbs to help clear that out, and then you can bring in the tonic herbs again. And then also, it might be wise just to stay off it from pregnancy, but Cordyceps was traditionally used to recover after pregnancy, and there's really no literature showing that is damaging or harmful during pregnancy, but that's just a general recommendation most people make, because there really hasn't been enough study specifically on that. But definitely, if you're just post-natal, in the postnatal stage, try it out and see the rebuilding and reinvigorating effects it has, because pregnancy and giving birth is a very Jing depleting process, and obviously if you're taking the right precautions it's going to be less so, but we can always enhance recovery and enhance these times in our life that are more demanding. It has been rumored for years that the Chinese Olympic teams, both winter and summer Olympic teams, have been taking Cordyceps for a long time to enhance performance, and we can definitely see that in their performance and the amount of medals that they get every year that the Olympics are occurring. And of course, the events that they really excel in that were attributed to Cordyceps, and they've actually admitted this for certain events, is the track events, and specifically women's running. So again, check that link below with the article I've written on Cordyceps Sinensis, and you'll see also in that article a list of the various accomplishments, and specifically the titles of the ones that the Chinese Olympic teams attribute to having been able to happen with the aid of Cordyceps. And also below I've got a link to my favorite website for specific tonic herb extracts. It's Hyperion Herbs. You can find the link below if you're interested in trying this amazing adaptogenic tonic herb out. And with that, I'm going to say take care, explore the wondrous benefits of medicinal mushrooms, both laboratory grown and wild, harvested, wild crafted, and embrace life without limits.